Hi guys, I just wanted to pop over here and give you your assignment for the day of what we are going to be working on. The actual assignment will be due at the end of this class, and then we'll talk about it next time. So to start, what I want you guys to think about today is how we're going to be writing um, and using what we know about figurative language to write more solidly. So this fun activity that we're going to do is called writing to a photograph. So let's get started. We are going to check this out. This is the picture I want you guys to create a writing story about. So if you can see, it's just the silhouette of a person with kind of like a city in the background and like an expanse of nothingness in between. The sun is up high in the sky. It's sort of a stark environment. Your person can be a man, woman, or anything else like, robot, alien, anything like that. I want you to be creative and think outside the box. So, what you're going to do is create a scene around this picture. And pretty much all I need you to do is write an introduction and the first paragraph, and that's what we're going to start with. So, in your intro paragraph, you need to assert yourself, definitely put yourself in the environment right away. And I do want you to write from the first person perspective, which, if you remember, is using I, me, and my instead of you, yours, or theirs. So there's your picture. And I will also upload that to your email so you can check it out closer. But moving on, let's see. What genres come to mind when you see a photo like that? For me, it was things like dystopian, science fiction, and magical realism. Let's go over what those are again. We talked about them in class, but let's just go over it. So the first one we have is dystopian, which, as you know, utopian describes a society that's conceived to be perfect. So dystopian is the exact opposite. It will describe an imaginary society that is as dehumanizing and as unpleasant as possible. You guys will be familiar with this genre just from things that you watch and play and read on a daily basis. The classic is 1984 by George Orwell. You guys will have to read that when you get to be freshmen in high school. And it's just about a society that looks similar to ours today, but it's kind of creepy and eerie the way that the government monitors people and stuff like that. Some that you will have read are The Giver. I know that we did that first thing this year. Um, and remember, like, their society looked just like ours. The people lived in houses, they rode bicycles, they had a system of schooling just like ours, but we know that there was something ominous underneath. And then, of course, we have the Hunger Games. I know that that's not exactly a new story, but you should all be familiar with it. Again, they have a government, a society, families, systems, but it's not as ideal as it looks on the surface. The next genre that photo reminded me of is science fiction. And science fiction is a genre of speculative fiction, which you remember speculative fiction means it could happen. Like we're speculating on something that could potentially happen. And it typically deals with imaginative and futuristic concepts such as advanced science and technology, space exploration, time travel, parallel universes, and extraterrestrial life. Some that you might be familiar with are The City of Ember, A Wrinkle in Time, which is like the classic. It just got remade a few years ago into a movie. And then the real classic, H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds. There's all kinds of movies based off of sci-fi literature, like Blade Runner and I, Robot and I Am Legend. That's all science fiction. So it would be really cool if you guys could write me a really epic science fiction story based on that photo that we saw. Another option is magical realism, which paints a realistic view of the modern world while also adding magical elements. And that would be like some things that contain references to the conventions of fables, myths, and allegory. Um, Here's some examples. We have Coraline, which I think is a story that you guys probably are familiar with. She is a girl that gets turned into a doll and goes like through a secret tunnel and into an alternate universe. A Monster Calls, which also turned into a movie a little while ago. Um, this is one about a boy whose mother is sick, and the way that he deals with it is by envisioning a monster that helps him. And then a really recent one is Jason Reynolds, Look Both Ways. It seems like a normal story about kids walking home from school, but there are some elements of magic that are unexplainable in the book. So that would be a cool idea too, to make it seem normal just with a little twist. So, what makes a good story? We know this. Like, here's all of our exciting figurative language devices. We're only going to focus on a couple of them that we've talked about in class. So, let's get started. We have similes, which, as you know, is a comparison of two unlike things using like or as. Why do we use them? They make your writing more colorful and vibrant. They encourage interpretation because not everybody is going to see things the same way. And they allow for new meaning. Here's some silly examples. Today I'm feeling fresh as a daisy, or without my glasses, I am blind as a bat. They're just kind of ways to insert a little personality into your writing. The next one is going to be metaphors, obviously, which is a comparison of two unlike things without using like or as. Metaphors are a little different because you're basically saying that one thing is another thing. And they function the same way as similes to bring life to your writing. So you can say things like, you are my guardian angel, or the kids at that school are all brains. And we know that to mean like they're really smart. The next one is hyperbole, which I think is a favorite of ours. It's an exaggerated statement used for effect, not meant to be taken literally, and we use it to serve as a form of persuasion or to make a point. Like, he cried so long that he made a lake. We know that's not true. We know that can't literally be possible, but it does paint a picture in our mind. Like, he was really upset. The next one is personification, which gives human qualities to non-human things. And we use them because that helps us envision what the author is talking about. They work because we relate to human qualities because we are human. So the stars smiled at us in the distance. That's like a really beautiful way of saying, like, we're sitting there looking up at the stars and they look pretty. Or the school looked sad without any children playing around. Like, think about what that seems like. Obviously, we know a school cannot literally be sad, but when you see a school that is empty and stark, it looks sad. An onomatopoeia, which is the super fun word to say, are words whose sounds suggest their meaning, like crash, whisper, and purr, and they allow other senses to be involved in understanding. Sometimes they can add humor or other emotion. I know that in graphic novels, they can be used to create kind of an ominous environment, which would be perfect for that photo that I showed you. And then finally, we have allusion, which is an indirect reference to a famous person, place, or event. There's different types. There can be literary, like if you were to say, he was her Prince Charming, that is alluding to a fairy tale. or there can be mythological, like he was as strong as Hercules. There's also biblical, historical, musical, and cultural types of illusions. And those all just serve to solidify what you were talking about. So now it's writing time. I want you guys to please try to use at least 3 of the figurative language devices that we went over today. You will have access to this PowerPoint so you can go back and refresh your memory. We will be sharing our stories tomorrow in class and discussing how these devices make our writing come alive. We're also going to talk about how interesting it is that each of you is going to come up with something completely different from the others. And that will kind of reiterate the point that we discussed in that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie video about the dangers of a single story. So it's really important to understand that we all are going to have our own perceptions and our own lived life experiences. And we want to honor that. And I want to see your creativeness come alive in these writing examples. So have fun, be creative, and I will see you guys tomorrow.